You don't like roguelikes but want some funky vibes? Fortunately, they made an actual good ToeJam Earl game and it's called Panic on Funkotron. Yeah, I haven't reviewed the first one because it's a roguelike. Not that I dislike the genre completely, I just want permanent progress. And that one doesn't provide it, so it was an immediate skip. The story picks up right after we built back our spaceship and managed to get back to our planet. Somehow, hundreds of humans followed us and the Earthlings are now on Funkotron. Since they have stolen the concept of fun, we need to put them in bottles and send them back to their planet. They can't behave themselves. You just don't go to any place and make it sad that way. Also beware, you need to get some very well hidden items to get the best ending. But they made the bad one pretty funny either way, and you get to have the promised party also. So I wasn't really all that angry about it this time. Still, I discovered this at the penultimate level because of a discussion with an NPC, so a bit late on that, don't you think, game developers? Also, I wouldn't do that for a simple reason. You think this is a normal platformer, but in reality it's a bit labyrinthian. We have an arrow pointing us towards the main objective, but we are missing an indicator of secrets. So I'm fine with the structure, since it will always point you towards what you really need to do. I would even like an item you can find in the levels that is unique, and when found, only then you unlock a pointer towards that. But as it is, you're left stranded only replaying this game many times before you'll get all of them. I played it 7 hours and without a guide as usual, and in 7 hours I got one of them out of at least 12. All these are the levels where I found discussion of a hidden area. And I explored plenty considering in those hours I did just one run of this title. It's less than 20 stages and some are really big, but if you just follow the arrow it will take you around 2 or 3 less even. And you get a funny ending and the credits either way. But I went above and beyond. Also aided by the fact that Panic on Funkotron doesn't have any form of timer you can get around at your own leisure. That is very rare for a game from this era, especially considering it came 1 year before Donkey Kong Country. That game series, slowly and with plenty of resistance from many developers, managed to popularize the removal of time limits in platformers. It only took 20 years, but we finally managed, around the 2010s, to get rid of this aside from a few sparse examples. Most platformers these days have levels that allow for exploration, but this was a real novelty back then. Mostly relegated to a few nostalgia-bait titles that really try to imitate 8-bit and 16-bit games, but it's not a guaranteed. Shovel Knight doesn't do that, for example. Here you can already see what happened. They did gigantic levels with an arrow, so you know the beta testers got lost already and couldn't finish the game otherwise. And they went and added in the items required for the good ending. This is a conscious evil decision. My most gentle conclusion could be that they wanted another bunch of things to collect just like in the first entry. In this case you get the personal items of somebody called the Funk Master. It's heavily hinted that it can get back the funk into the entire planet. But only at the end you will know how. Even if you stumble upon one of the secret rooms, you're not gonna get what the item does or if it's something for your inventory. Very brutal. How can a game like this be so incredibly complicated? Because the levels are seriously parts of an entire planet, populated by very different fauna and flora. In fact, there's gonna be many animals going around that are just there for window dressing. You only need to battle against all the creatures coming from Earth, no one else, because those are friendly and funky, therefore cool, radical, color, chill, cold, fresh, hip, vogue, swell, trendy, stellar, prime and groovy. Aside from throwing your piss jars at them, you can also use a bunch of extra items like the charge of electrical energy. That one will get you wildly moving about while invincible and throwing bottles all over the place. Considering that different enemies require different amount of hits before being captured, that's pretty useful when you're surrounded. Consider also that if you don't pick them in a short enough amount of time, they'll free themselves. These humans really can sit still, can they? The other special item is a vacuum and it's a bit more rare to find. It directly captures anybody on screen and bypasses the number of hits they need. Sometimes you'll even need money to put in parking posts to get to special places. And how you find all these items? By pressing up and shaking the flora, first of all. Didn't you know that? Plants have presents, traps, coins, super jars and other knickknacks in them, at least on Funkotron. Plus they'll try to direct towards some non-story related secrets if you just walk on the correct spots or interact with the right scenery, like a time portal that can lead into an infinite runner section where you've got to avoid portals as long as possible and get the most you can while in there. It gets really hard really fast. Also sometimes you'll get arrows pointing you in directions, buttons to press, and the dreaded underwater sections. Here you'll be timed, but only because you can keep your breath for 40 seconds. By kissing a certain type of fish, you can steal their breath away and refill the timer, so it's not really unforgiving. You just have to learn to move really fast. Yes, you heard me right. But in-game you will be told how to do all the things that don't involve secrets in the first level, so it's not much of a worry. There's much more minutia, but I'll let you discover the rest. It sounds like an amazing game, but it has a really incredibly major flow for my tastes. There's almost 20 stages and only 5 level types. It gets pretty repetitive starting from the second quarter of it already. 1/4 of the way in and the creativity is already almost exhausted. They try to up the gameplay challenges and surprise you with different level design and objectives, but visually isn't really stimulating anymore before long. And since we're on that point, I gotta say that it feels like a wasted opportunity. They've got an amazing art style that is really what I would want in a game that seems to really sing at you. If you listen closely, you can even hear it. Groove is in the heart. I don't sing too well, but I've got soul. I mean, whoever the person that sang was. But the visuals are really interesting, even if they finish introducing new enemies also by the half of the game. Basically, in level 8 you'll have seen everything you could in this game. Its amazing flora and fauna won't surprise and wow you any longer. Ristar it ain't. Unless we're talking beats, because musically this soundtrack really inspires rhymes on the fly just by listening. It's a mix and match of funk, groove, all at once, all the time, and it somehow works. Plus sprinkle some hints of hip-hop here and there for an explosive bomb of an OST. Impossible to forget it after you play enough of it. When thinking about this card, you'll be able to hear the sound of it. When looking at an image, you'll be able to imagine the beat. It's really something special when that happens and I couldn't be happier about it. But ToeJam Earl in Panic on Funkotron is just a very good game, but nothing too great nor original, and that's why it only gets a 7 out of 10. Ambitious project, but it really can't manage to have anything new to show ya even before the halfway point. At least give me new enemies, but they don't do even that. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!